So this topic is called Finding Real-World Quadratic Solutions, just like we've been doing, but this time we're going to use our graphing calculator. So let's just tackle one problem for this video and make sure we know how to use our calculator to do it. Joe, he wrestles. He stands on a building and he throws his opponent off the roof of a one-story building. The height in feet of his opponent can be modeled by h equals negative 16t squared plus 32t plus 12, where t is measured in seconds. All right, so here's our first question. At what time will the wrestler reach its max height? All right, well, first of all, we have to graph this equation, and then we know that this one right here represents the maximum. So let's start from the very beginning. If you are having trouble with your calculator and you're getting errors a lot, we can clear the memory by pressing the second button and then memory where the plus button is. And then we can scroll all the way down to 7, press reset, click 1 for all RAM, and 2 for reset. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to click on this y equals button right here. So clicking on that y equals. And remember, when you're putting in a negative symbol, you want to make sure you're using the negative symbol right here, not the subtraction. So that's a negative symbol. So I'm going to press the negative and then 16. Now I know that this does say t, but we're going to use x in this problem. And that's just how the graphing calculator prefers it. So see where my finger is? I'm going to push that X. And then see where my finger is again? I'm going to push that squared button. And then I'm going to have plus 32X plus 12. It's always nice to just try pressing graph and see how that looks. You can see that our maximum value is way off the graph. And you can also see that there's a lot of stuff over here, but it's unnecessary. So I want to decrease the values of the X that I'm seeing. So I'm going to go into my window. And instead of being from -10 to 10 for my X, let's just go from -2 and then we'll go to 5. So that's under window. So changing that. So let's go ahead and click graph. And you can see that that makes a lot more sense to go from a -2 to a 5. Now it looks like our y value doesn't get us high enough to see the top of this parabola. So I'm going to go into my window and let's go ahead and try a y max of, I don't know, let's try 40. Let's try graphing that. Let's see if we can see the top now. Yes, we can. If this seems like it's a little bit too low here, you could go back to the window if you wanted to, and you can even change this to be a 30. And let's see how that looks. So that's the Y maximum. So let's graph that. That looks pretty good. And so you can see that our maximum Y value is 30 right here, and that's a little bit below it. All right, so to find the maximum, right, to find when the wrestler reaches its max, I need to find this value right here. And to do that, I press second, and then I press calc. Now, what do you think you're going to choose here if you're finding the max? Well, you're going to press maximum. So I'm going to press 4, or you can scroll down if you want and click on maximum. Now notice how this little, I call it a turtle guy, shows up. Do you see it? And you see how you can push the right button and the left button to move it around? All right. So this right here tells you to do left bound, which means it wants you to be to the left side of this max, which is kind of being covered up now. And so you can see that my turtle is on the left side of the maximum. So I'm going to press enter. So I just press enter right here. So I press enter. And now notice that this is asking for right bound. So I'm going to scroll over. Notice how I'm using the right cursor, right. And I keep going to the right until I'm on the right side of the hump or that max. Okay, again, I'm going to press this enter button right here. Press enter. It asks me to guess, and I'm going to skip that step by pressing enter for a third time. All right, so what do we get? We get 0.999999999. What is that essentially, 0.999? That's 1 second. So at 1 second, we're at our max value of 28 feet, which makes total sense because remember we set our Y value to be 30 and we're slightly below that. So at 1 second, we're at our max height of 28 feet. All right, so at what time? Well, the time, and I already said it, it's 1 second. The time is always going to be that first value, that X, because X-axis is the time, Y-axis is height. So you're going to have 1 second. All right, what is the max height of the wrestler? Well, let's go back to this. That is the Y value. That is going to be 28 feet. All right, next question says, when does the wrestler hit the ground? So looking at this problem right here, we know that the wrestler hits the ground right here, because this is the ground. You're on topping the one-story building, the wrestler gets tossed up, and then it falls back to the ground. So I want to know when. Okay, so I'm looking for the time here. This is something that you may have never heard before, but we want to find the zero. The zero is where it crosses the x-axis. We call that a zero. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. And again, just like we did for finding the maximum, we're going to press the blue button and then press calculate. See how that says calc in blue? We're going to go second, calc, and we're going to find the zero. So I'm going to scroll down to 2. All right. Well, again, it's asking us to go to the left. Well, here's the thing that I'm trying to find right here. And you should agree that that turtle is a little bit to the left. See how if I push the left button right here, it continues to be to the left. So I want to press enter. And then I want to be to the right of this point. So watch me put my finger on the right here. And I'm going to keep going until I'm below it. See, now I'm below it. Go. All right, so my turtle's right here. So it's a little bit to the right. All right, so now I'm going to press enter again. It asks me to guess. So I press enter again. All right, there we go. So our height is 0 when our time is 2.3 seconds. I'm going to do that really quickly again. If you want to fast forward, you may, but let's do that again. So again, I go into the blue and then calculate. See that blue calc? I choose 0. I go to the left. See, look at my finger on the left button. I go to the left of that point, press enter. Then I click on the right value here, the right arrow. I'm now below the 0. And it doesn't matter. I can be slightly below it or really below it, as long as I'm slightly to the right, which I am. Press enter again. There's my 2.3 seconds. All right. Last question, folks. You're doing a great job. How high is the wrestler at? Well, there is a slow way to do this. We certainly could go into our normal screen, and to do that, we would press blue and then quit. And we could plug 2.25 seconds into our original equation. So our original equation, just as a reminder, is right here. So it'd be a -16 parentheses. And remember, this question wanted us to know how high they were at 0.25 seconds. So I'm plugging in 0.25, close my parentheses. Okay, and then remember, I'm going to square it. Square comes from this button right here. Okay, plus 32 times a 0.25, because there's a t there, and then plus 12. So we have found that the wrestler is at 19 feet at that 0.25 seconds. Okay, so that takes forever, doesn't it? So my recommendation is to do the following. You're going to go into your table set settings. So see right there in blue, it says table set. You're going to press second, then table set. And I want you to change the independent variable to ask. That means make your X value whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to click enter there. All right, so when you scroll that, you should have ask highlighted. Go ahead and quit out of that by doing the blue and then the quit. All right, now we're going to go into the table. So I'm going to press the blue and then the table. And now all I have to do is plug in these time values, which are really my X values, and it's going to spit out the height. So let's just try the 0.25 and see how fast this way is. Plug in 0.25, bam, 19. Plug in 0.5, oh, that gives me 24 feet. Isn't this nice that this calculates all these values for you really quickly? Let's try 1 second. Up. The wrestler's at 28 feet, which we actually knew that was our max, right? At 1.5 seconds, we should be lower than that. Yes, we are at 24 feet. And how about at 2 seconds? Looks like the wrestler's coming down at 12 feet. All right, that's it for this video, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Be full of happiness.